we settled on a price that was slightly higher than what we had listed it
at,
for, which was
Yeah.
higher than anything other comparable in the market.
We've known you guys for a really long time. We helped you guys buy your condo years ago. And this last year, there's a lot that transitioned for you guys. And so I would love to hear, when you're selling your condo, kind of moving into the things that you were kind of unknown at the time, what were some of the fears that were tied with the transition that you went through?
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, the toughest part for me was just that we had so much unknown that we were looking at, and we were trying to figure out where we should go without actually knowing what was coming ahead of us. And so COVID was just one of what felt like 100 curveballs that were thrown our way over the last year or so.
Yeah.
So it was July that we decided to pursue adoption.
Last July,
of 2019. And then we were thinking, okay, we want to adopt one girl. But we were told the timeline to expect was maybe like 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
And so we said, great, we have got tons of time to figure all of this out.
Yeah.
The like local side of the process for adoption of like getting vetted and social workers and all of that stuff takes about 6 to 9 months. And so between July and February, that was mostly what we were focused on. And then we kind of were able to wrap up us being vetted.
Yeah.
And then that's when we started to engage with Becky. You guys have been so helpful. But I think, to get back to the question about fear, there were so many unknowns, yet, we're dealing with like $300, $400, $500,000 commitments, right? And so to have to know that you're going to have to sign something that gives up your home, your place of residence, and then
not knowing what to go
make
with.
a bigger commitment without knowing what we would need or where in the city is the best place, or timeline, anything like that. It was, I felt like I was staring into the abyss, but then I had people behind me saying, hey, like, where are we going, Chief? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I can't tell you right now. So there was, I think, fear and uncertainty there for sure.
Absolutely. And was it the same for you?
Yeah. And I think there was things that we had wanted. We had also, like limitations too. And we had to kind of make a decision, but we also didn't know where to go and kind of what type of house we were looking at, what area were we looking at. We made so many different changes and adjustments over the course of selling, and then like where do we buy and stuff. So
when you were looking at selling your condo, did you know where you wanted to go, or was it kind of a let's see what happens? Because I remember at that time you guys were considering townhouses and trying to stay inner city, because you guys were right downtown before. So trying to stay inner city as tight as you could. And I think there's a lot of reasons around that. But in doing that, it kind of turned into going, wait a minute. And then your condo sold. It actually, I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit.
No, let's talk about it. It was an unbelievable story.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the prevailing wisdom, at least that as we perceived it at the time, this was like way back in February 2020. Is, hey, this is not a great market right now. And I should say this was not necessarily the advice you guys gave us, but just as we were chatting among friends and relatives. So
and that was February.
Yes, February 2020.
Okay, I'm just trying to remember all the dates here.
But. Yeah. Okay. And the advice was, it's way harder to sell right now than it is to buy, especially a condo. Yeah. And so focus on selling first. Yeah. And then it'll be pretty easy if you can manage to sell your condo somehow in this market. Yeah,
because it was brutal. Downtown condo market.
Yes, and we had seen it kind of fall in price, and then there was it seemed like there was a bunch of places that were available too. Like the market was oversaturated. So
the comparables for our place were, I think, about like 50 grand less than what we had purchased our
Yeah, we
place
kind of knew we were going into
5
a
years
loss,
ago,
but,
which
yeah.
I mean was fine.
Yeah.
We were not like, oh, this is a big money maker. We just said, hey, we want to,
Yeah.
you know, find the
Make a
right
change.
spot for us.
Yeah.
So anyways, so we were chatting with Becky about what is the right price and comparables, and she had said, you know, not it's tough right now with condos downtown, but let's at least put it like 10 grand higher than any other comparable in our area, just to make sure like we didn't leave any money on the table.
Yeah.
And so we said, sure. And we didn't have a timeline for when it needed to be sold by either. Maybe, you know, in a few weeks, if we just sat on it for 3 or 4 months. We thought our adoption was going to take 2.5, 3 years to complete. So we just said at some point in the next 2.5, 3 years, we'll have to switch places. So
let's
put
just
it
start
now.
it
We'll
now.
start to get ready, but no rush whatsoever. The day that we listed it on MLS and all those other sites, we had someone request a showing, which was bonkers. And then
that's the whole point, right?
Yes, yeah. Well, yeah. I did expect at some point interest was coming, but but it was like within hours.
Yeah.
We had people that requested it.
I think for like the next day or like the day after.
Yeah, it was right away.
Yeah,
and then
so she went and showed it again.
Yes, they came by, and then they wanted a second viewing, and then another group of people also wanted a viewing, and so within a week we had, I think, 4 viewings from 3 different parties. Again, when our expectations were like, maybe over the course of like a month or 2 or 3, we'll see some interest trickle in. That was kind of what we were mentally preparing for. And then the Saturday, so 5 days after we had listed it, they had told Becky, hey, we want to put an offer in. And so, again, we were like super open-handed about all of it, because we were like, it doesn't matter to us, right? Like,
well, you didn't have a firm something.
Exactly.
That you had a push out date, right?
And exactly. Yeah. So they sent us an offer, which I think was probably a relatively reasonable offer. It was 20 grand less than the list price. And Becky was chatting, and as they were putting in an offer, there was another party that was also viewing the property. And so Becky called them and said, hey, someone already put in an offer. Are you guys interested in this place? And I think they went into, like, if we're interested in this, we got to, put in an offer right away. And so it was a few hours, and we did lots of, like, again, open hand, don't get, just pray. Like, let's just trust that this is all going to work out. And then we ended up in a situation with competing offers. And finally, 5 days after it was listed, we settled on a price that was slightly higher than what we had listed it for, which was higher than anything other comparable in the market. Greatly exceeded our expectations. And it was just such a whirlwind. And
then conditions closed.
Firmed up.
And then COVID happened.
Yes. And I should say, within like 8 hours of when we signed
accepted that offer.
When we accepted the offer, COVID, like, I woke up the next morning, my little Google Home was saying the stock markets are going crazy. This was March 13th, I think.
Okay. Or Friday.
It was the Monday. So yeah. No, you're probably right. 7th or 8th, something like that. And then everything went crazy. And then 3 days later, NBA canceled, NHL, and then like the whole world went into shutdown a week later.
Yeah.
And so the timing was just remarkable. Like, I think it probably would be 2 or 3 years before we would end up getting close to the price that we got.
Yeah.
And so the timing was just so remarkable. And you guys were so helpful and stick handling. And it was, I think, a first time buyer on their side. So there's some nervousness there, but it all came together. Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Which is great.
Yeah.
So because of that, it sold so quickly. That's kind of where you're like, crap. Now what?
Yes, there was that
right?
like
so
needing to provide a roof for my family thing.
A little bit.
Yeah, that I've heard people.
Yeah.
These societal expectations thrust upon me.
Food, water, and what was the other one? Shelter?
Yeah, something like that.
Cardboard box.
Oh, that's crazy. And so, I mean, that part of it was quite a story. And then you guys ended up renting, and then because of that, and during that time frame, I think a lot of personal things happen with your adoption and everything over the last, let's call it 5 months, whatever.
Yeah.
And so not only were you going for one child, what happened there?
Yeah. So we, again, the expectations that were set, it's a long process. And so we were kind of mentally preparing for 2022, maybe, for when when we would be matched with kids. And anyways, all that to say, we found out July of this year, a few months ago. They said, how do you feel about siblings? And we said,
we like them. We like
fine.
them.
Yeah. Yes. and then probably 3 or 4 days after that, they had the agency had told us that they had found a match with a 4-year-old girl and her 3-year-old brother in Taiwan. And so that was awesome, and we were absolutely thrilled. But again, it was a curveball where we weren't preparing for 3 or 4 kids. We were preparing for 3. We weren't preparing for needing to work from home, and then that cropped up over the summer as well. And so I think, when we had sold our place, we were looking for something different than what we ultimately ended up needing. And so, through Providence or whatever, we decided to rent, buy some time. And it was during that period that we got a lot better clarity of what the future would look like and what our needs would be.
Which is pretty cool. Sorry,
we had realized, I think, in that time that our lifestyle had really changed where, we were the couple that had like the little baby in the stroller, and it made sense for us to be downtown living. Going to a cafe, doing this or that. And now we're going to have 4 kids that need to run around and are going to school. And
so have you bought like the big van and all that stuff yet?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm fighting fate on that one. That one's coming. So SUVs are cool, right? They're like cool minivans, I've heard. Yeah. That's what marketing tells me. So
I think you should just follow that. Okay. Go for it. So what do you think through all of that? Because there was the sale, there was the purchase, there was the middle ground. Through all of that, what made the biggest difference in working with us? I mean, again, you could have chosen anybody. I mean, just because we've known you for a long time doesn't mean you have to work with us, right? But what made you want to work with us in the first place? And secondly, what was that like in that process?
For me, I would say what stood out, I think, was frankly Becky's patience, where we just didn't know what we needed, and we would say we need to sell our place, we think, and eventually we'll need to buy a place, we think, but I don't know what that looks like, and we would change it because as new facts would come in for what life would look like for us, it would modify things, and we would want to proceed and then we couldn't. And just the fact that, you guys, it wasn't just I'm so, and maybe behind our backs, there's like, I really hope we can sell this place for the Martins and not have to see them for 10 years. Okay, good. But the fact that you guys were so patient with us as we were trying to sort out what the details were of our lives. And you guys helped us uncover to a degree what we wanted when we didn't always know that for ourselves. And so that you guys were doing that. And I mean, you guys have been friends for, long before we were working together as realtor and realty. That's not it.
Let's just move on.
I was wrong. But there was a friendship there, and you get this sense that, beyond selling a house, we want you guys to be happy, and so if it takes you guys a while to figure out what that looks like, then we'll encourage you and support you and check in when we can, and we want to make sure that when you sign up for this giant commitment that you are thrilled and excited about it. And so you guys just gave us all the resources and the support, even if sometimes all we needed was just patience while we tried to figure that out for ourselves.
Well, I think one of the things that we've used to say, or still say quite a bit, is, you know, I know you're going to need to make a transition, and we'll just be here when you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not going anywhere. This is what we do. This is where we'll be, kind of thing, and we'll just be here. And I think sometimes, and I've heard this a lot in these conversations with clients, not just that Rebecca or I have worked with, but even other agents in our team too, is just how there wasn't this pushiness. There wasn't this, I'm going to push you through the process to get to the other end. There is this, well, let's just walk through. Like, I'll be your guide. You guys are the hero of the story, and let's just figure this out, right? And it's cool to see you guys on the other end, and figuring that out. So you guys have bought?
Yes.
You are now in your new house.
We're in our new home. We moved in less than a week ago.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so we got possession beginning of October.
Yeah.
And so adoption family wise, we're going to be going over to Taiwan in March of 2021. And so that was when we said, okay, I think now is the time.
Yeah.
Settle up at home, get that aspect of life under control and well defined, so that when we come back from Taiwan, we can just focus all of our energy and attention on the family.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, we moved pretty quickly. Like once we decided, I think it was probably late September that we decided.
It was within a couple of weeks that we found something.
Yeah. It was really quick.
Yeah.
And so once we kind of knew what we wanted to do, then you guys were ready and cleared your schedule and made it work. And it was a real sprint. The transaction itself, the place with the lady whom we purchased from, I think it was a rental property. She kind of wanted to just not have to worry about the headache of the rental property anymore. But in order for us to get a price that we were all comfortable with, we had to really speed up the possession timeline, which was fine by us. But for us to go for like 6 months of basically radio silence from the Martins, as far as you guys are concerned, to 2 weeks go. Exactly. And it was like mortgage brokers having to run stuff in the background. And anyways, there were changes at my job, and there's a bunch of just paperwork that had to go through and stuff like that. And it was a total sprint, but everything went off without a hitch. And we were super, super thankful for it. And you know, we just moved in fresh on Thursday last week, and it's already been such a blessing.
Yeah, it has.
It's been a place of rest, and we're excited just to spend the next 4 or 5 months and continue to customize it and make it work
what you want it to be.
Exactly, for our family for a long time.
So my question for you guys is, there could be others like yourself in a situation where they're coming from a condo, a smaller space, and moving up into something else. There's a lot of weird news out there. There's a lot of changes out there. I don't know if you've heard about it.
Yeah.
There's a few.
COVID?
Something like that. With a K. Right?
Yeah, oh yes.
Yeah, that one. And I think it would be interesting to hear from your perspective, after going through a transition like that, going from a condo into a house, what about life is different? And if you could look backwards, was there anything you would do differently? Is there anything that you're glad you did? Anything like that?
Yeah.
I feel like Jess, because I'm ready to say
I
this.
was.
You were ready. I saw it. I saw it.
Oh.
I can always fill time. I'll fill time, and then you can. And so, I think for us, the thing that we've been most excited about, as is evidenced by the fact that like we got our keys on Friday, and then Friday afternoon a wall was taken down, was just
crazy.
Just the autonomy that we had, as opposed to in a condo. We'd only ever lived in condos or townhomes prior, or this place where we rented, where again, you know, there's all these checks, and you've got a short list of things you can do to customize the space. So for us, just to have the freedom, and we said to ourselves, this is going to be our family home, God willing, for the next 10 to 15 years. And so let's build it as such, and let's make it reflect ourselves, our personalities, you know, what our family is going to look like.
Yeah.
And so to have the freedom to do that has been awesome.
Yeah.
And so I would say that has been the biggest transition in a good way.
Yeah.
What about going from like downtown to, you didn't
Mhm.
move out to the suburbs. Like you guys are like, let's call it 1960
Yes.
suburbs.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So you're in that
Yeah.
outer suburb or inner
Yes.
suburb, let's say. What has life been like making that transition for a family? What have you noticed there?
I think it's good, like when we've changed a lot of our lifestyle, which is
Yeah.
probably reflective now of our place, is that, we were downtown, we were walking to coffee shops and to boutiques and all that kind of stuff. And now, we're finding we're closer to parks and we're closer to school and we have more space to spread out. It was just a really good, I think we enjoyed having a bit of that time to reflect. When we were renting, it gave us a little bit of a chance to kind of see what we wanted to do. Yeah. If we were comfortable with it, we uncovered a lot of desires that we may have not had before. And
Like gardening.
Yeah. I think
Like
everybody's
killing
a gardener.
vegetables.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm good at that.
We're not growing vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel like everybody's a gardener now this summer,
I know.
right?
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, it just kind of, I think it was good to be out of that downtown core and kind of realize, like, hey, life is okay if we just live a little bit outside of this and kind of experience that. And yeah, I mean, I think even when we were starting our search, we were looking at townhomes within like a big inner city pocket.
Absolutely,
or large apartments or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Cool.
it was good to kind of take some time, realize what we wanted. And like we're in a place now that we can be for 10, 15 years plus. So
Well, and it's a new chapter.
yeah.
You guys have kind of are moving into, you're like almost like in the middle of flipping a page.
Yes, yeah,
Like
yeah.
the page
it's about
is
half over.
flipped.
Yeah.
You don't know quite what's on the other side yet.
No.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
you guys have quite an exciting 2021 coming down the pipeline, and
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Totally. No,
Very
we're
cool.
looking forward to it. And one thing I would add is we have a real desire to get to know our neighbors well. And it was actually like we moved downtown for that purpose as well. But it was tougher than I think we expected. I think maybe it's just the lifestyle,
The hallway.
Yeah,
living.
yeah, exactly. It was a
Yeah.
little bit different, and frankly, COVID hasn't helped because now you got people that are kind of like in an uncomfortable space, close proximity, probably closer than they would prefer. Whereas when like the street that we've been on and our neighborhoods, like our neighbors and their friendliness has been really refreshing. Just the people in our community that have welcomed us. And so for us, getting to know our neighbors and start to saturate like some deeper relationships there, I think a home in an established community has been a real aid in helping us do that.
That's cool. Well, I want to thank you both for being here. This was great.
Yeah, thanks.
Hearing
Jared.
your story, hearing what you guys are going through, it's super exciting, and I'm excited to meet those two little ones whenever they get here.
Yeah.
We don't live far away now. We can have little built-in babysitters at some point.
Yeah, that's
true.
right.
That's true.
My
They'll
girls
be
are
on
good.
your live stream a year from now. Count
That's
it.
right.
Book it now.
That's right. Well, thank you again, and thank you for watching. And those of you that are considering making a move, you can follow after these guys' footsteps. You don't have to know where you're going, but you just might know that something is needing to change. You're kind of moving towards something, and I think that's okay. And so if you're in that place, again, we're not going anywhere. This is what we do. And so if we're able to help you out in any way, like we're able to help Travis and Jessica out, let us know. And again, I want to thank you guys for being here, and we're going to say goodbye. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Jared.